proposed legislation to form Columbus's first ever LGBTQ plus Affairs Commission. I want to thank everyone who took time out of their day to join us. I want to upfront thank everyone who has worked to get us here. Jose Rodriguez, Sam Dooling, Maya A, Jessica, the mayor's office. Just thank you so much for everyone who has engaged, and certainly my colleagues who have participated. Last month was Pride Month, and every year we have the honor of hosting LGBTQ plus local elected officials from across Ohio in this chamber. There aren't many of us, but every year our numbers grow, and that matters. At this year's gathering, I announced my intention to introduce legislation creating a new commission on LGBTQ plus affairs here in the city of Columbus. Because the truth is, being openly gay in Ohio and even here in Columbus hasn't always been easy. In fact, for many, it wasn't even possible. Sitting here in this chamber, I'm reminded of that history. My friend and my mentor, the reason that I have the ability to sit on this dais, Councilmember Mary Jo Hudson, shared a video with me from the Ohio History Connection that captured a powerful moment in our city's history. It was a contentious council vote in 1984 whether to include sexual orientation in our city's anti-discrimination protections. At that time, it was legal in our city to discriminate against LGBTQ plus people in housing and employment and just about every other aspect of life. The council chamber that evening was packed. Supporters, opponents, people standing shoulder to shoulder. And in the middle of it all, brave voices spoke up. They asked for the simple right to live and to live their lives openly and to be treated fairly. The legislation failed that day, but it was championed by my predecessor, then Council President Jerry Hammond, a leader who understood the power of standing on the right side of history. Last night, my partner and I watched that documentary, and sitting there watching it, I said, others need to see it as well. So we're going to start this hearing playing a few clips of that fateful day in 1984.
The thing that surprised everyone so much about City Council is that the whole time, all the way up until at least the day before and even up until that evening, we all were counting on winning. We had the votes, we had done the work, we did all the right things, we made all the right moves. Going back as far as a couple years prior to that, we had been very active in the political process. We had worked for different candidates for City Council. We raised money, we leafleted, we went door to door. We did all of the things that one is supposed to do in the United States, that is to give citizens their rights, the different ways and methods to influence your legislators. It wasn't until that day that we started to see cracks developing, and of course it was a roller coaster ride down from there on out.
I actually am here in two persons tonight. My name is Rhonda Rivera. I live at 385 East Schreier. My profession is attorney and legal scholar. I cannot remember, although I'm a relatively well-known public speaker, when I have felt so deeply and cared so much, so you will excuse me. Over 54 cities in this nation already have this legislation. It's not that wild. One state has voted to protect gay people all over with regard to their employment rights. We have 4 executive orders in states around this country.
Another thing that I was really struck by was the testimony that was given by Robert Rivera, who is an 18-year-old young man, the son of Rhonda Rivera. And he didn't have a lot to say. It wasn't the content of what he said, it was the emotion.
I would like to introduce to you my son, who is 17 years old and is about to graduate from a Columbus public school. He's going to finish my time.
My name is Robert Rivera. I go to Columbus Alternative High School. And I guess one of the things that I'm really pleased with about Columbus is that I can go to a school where I feel happy. Columbus Alternative is a place where people can go when they don't feel quite right with the Columbus public school system as it stands now. People feel ostracized in schools, and ostracism is a tough thing to deal with. It makes people hurt. I've watched my mom for 17 years. This hurts. What I'd like to say to you tonight is that we're all opening our hearts to you, and we're putting them on a silver platter so that you have two choices. You can cut it, or you can love it. That's all I can say.
If there is anyone in this room who has ever been fired or denied work because they are gay, if there's anyone here in this room who has ever been in fear of being gay, if there's ever anyone in this room who has ever suffered abuse or discrimination because they are gay, if you believe that the time is now to end this waste of people, would you silently stand up? As voters, as workers, as citizens, as decent, hardworking Americans in this city, as people, we ask you to vote yes.
Men and women are made by their Creator. Blacks are made by their Creator. Whites are made by their Creator. Homosexuals are not made.
Homosexuality is just what God said it is. It's an unclean, unsanitary practice. When men in medical terms put their penis in another man's anus and put it in their mouth, they create disease. And that's just it. That's just plain, simple language. You cannot, excuse the term, eat shit and not get sick. It's foolishness. It's foolishness. You don't let a leper person in among clean people. You quarantine them. You keep them outside. You quarantine smallpox and herpes, AIDS, and these various diseases that have stemmed out of the homosexual community should not be forced to be placed among God's clean people.
The second attack on my children will be even more direct and more powerful. It will come in the form of a homosexual teacher. Not that I am saying that a homosexual teacher will try to seduce my children, and yet I do believe that's true. But aside from that issue, think of the effect of a homosexual teacher on a student.
We believe if passed, this bill will allow homosexual, lesbian teachers in our school and will create a hysteria-type atmosphere among the parents whose children may have to shower in front of a known homosexual and go to the bathroom in front of a known homosexual or lesbian, and we don't want it. We also know that homosexuals cannot reproduce. They must recruit, and the best place to recruit is going to be the daycare and the public school system.
It is in my committee. I would move for the passage of 832-84. Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll by voice.
Espy.
For the reasons I stated, I'm voting no.
Please now.
Maloney.
Everyone has an opportunity. Allow the council members to vote.
Mr. Maloney.
I believe that there is a constitutional question involved here, and I vote yes.
Mr. Mantle.
No.
Yeah. Mr. Portman.
No.
Biggest blow of all I recall vividly was when Arlene Shoemaker cast her no vote. And she was one of the first politicians that we went to, one of the first council members, and said, this is what we're going to do. And she sat there. She said, of course you have my vote, Craig. She looked me right in the eyes and said, of course, I believe in your cause. I will vote yes. And I'll never forget the moment sitting in that packed city council hall where it was about 90 degrees and people were all over the place just yelling and screaming. And the vote got around to her. And she said, I have to take a minute to explain my vote. And at that point, we knew what was going to happen.
Shoemaker.
I'd like to take a minute and explain my vote. I also believe very strongly in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I also believe when I took my oath of office that I swore to represent all the people of Columbus. I cannot vote the way I'd like to vote, so I'm going to say no, because I believe we do not have a clear-cut piece of legislation that will cause anything but unhappiness.
Teeter.
No.
Mr. Hammond.
Well, it's obviously obvious that as the person who brought the legislation in, I strongly believe that there is no support for discrimination. I will vote yes. The legislation fails, however.
But just the fact that our community showed up with such civility and such determination and such pride, facing all that filth and the vulgar and the screaming and the yelling and the denigration, and we came out of there with our heads up very high.
We held a candlelight vigil after that night after the ordinance failed, and it was good to see so many people there. It was showed that we hadn't given up. We were still cohesive, and we were still going to work, and we were still going to fight. We're going back to council. We're not going to give up.
When the issue comes up again, because it will, I'll be there.
And we'll not only be back this year, but this time we're going to win.
Yeah, I'm ready for next time.
I won't quit. None of us will quit.
And we will keep fighting until we get what we deserve.
There's a saying that if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it. And it's important that in this period of time that we are reminded of our shared history. That is not somewhere else. That is not over there. That happened in this chamber that you sit in today. And it's a stark reminder to my colleagues and to our community that what we do in this room matters, and that we have to view our actions and the work that we do in the long arc of history. And it impacts people's real lives. It impacts them every day. And so that same spirit is urgently needed today. Across our state and across our country, LGBTQ plus people, especially young people and families, are being targeted by the legislation that chips away at their dignity, at their health care, at their safety, and their freedom. And almost every week, it feels like we see a new bill in the Ohio State House aimed at some of the most vulnerable in our community. And that's why the time is now. And that's why I've introduced legislation to create the city's first commission on LGBTQ plus affairs. This commission will give our community a permanent seat at the table, because these issues aren't just about identity. They're about housing. They're about health care. They're about safety and education and equity. And I also want to be clear that this effort builds on decades of work from community organizations, many of them that are outside of government, who never stopped fighting for LGBTQ plus rights. Groups like Stonewall Columbus, that was represented in the video, PFLAG, the LGBTQ plus Roundtable, and so many others. This commission will be a continuation of their work and a way to ensure the city stands in partnership with them. I believe this commission can lift up the voices of LGBTQ plus residents, as well as their friends, their families, their co-workers, their allies who work alongside them. It's going to take all of us, parents and siblings, our neighbors, our employers, and elected officials to continue to move this work forward. So I'm proud to bring this legislation forward. I'm hopeful about the conversations we'll have today, and I'm deeply grateful for everyone who has taken the time to be here to testify and to make your voices heard. Again, I want to thank all those who worked to get us to this point. I said the mayor's office earlier. It was Marshall Troxel who has done so much of this work with my team, and I'm just grateful for that. Do any of my colleagues have any questions before I turn it over to our presenters? Thank you. I'd like to welcome the person whose shoulders I stand on and my ability to sit at this dais, Mary Jo Hudson.
Thank you, Council President, members of council. Thank you so much for having me here today. The video is tough to watch. And while I was not there, I was still at Miami University at that time. I lived many circumstances like that after I moved here to Columbus in the early 90s. That is not a, what was old is new again. It still exists, and with the same vitriol. It was just tough to watch. But I do appreciate you having me here today. Uh-oh, now it won't open up for me. There we go. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and support and with gratitude for this proposed formation of a LGBTQ commission for the city of Columbus. The Columbus LGBTQ community may seem visible during the Pride Parade as we just come from, but many are far from visible or privileged. We are a cross-section of all walks, all races, orientations, and gender identities, with many generations of needs and concerns. As a council member, I learned that the value of this city's commissions to bring voice to our residents. The city commissions help ensure our city's elected and appointed officials and their teams have resources for education, voice, and guidance on issues impacting all of our residents. In these recent times, we're reminded why education, the development and understanding, and really formation of visceral support for one another is so vital to grow community and to develop a vibrant and peaceful community. This commission would be an amazing gift of voice for service and community development that would be inclusive of the LGBTQ community. The commission would be a reality that many of us who have walked this path before all of you, all of my community colleagues that are here today, did not think would be possible even just a few years ago. Thank you for your willingness to convene to discuss this commission, to listen, and to learn more from the LGBT community. I also, President Hardin, pledge my support and, of course, guidance and assistance for the generation of leaders that will come before us to embark on the journey with, hopefully, service on this commission. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hudson, for your testimony, for your service to our community, and for your support for this legislation. Like I said, I think that your service led the way for us to be here today having this important conversation, so thank you so much. Before I go to our next speaker, who is Sam Dooling with our Legislative Research Office, who will actually get into the specifics of what this legislation is, one of the things that I thought about as MJ was speaking was the necessity for diversity on this commission. As I was thinking that, I had that thought as I looked out to my friend Aaron Upchurch, who represents Kaleidoscope, and the necessity for young people to be represented on this commission so that their advocacy and their lens and their fight can be directly brought to the leadership of the city of Columbus. So again, thank you for your testimony, and thank you for supporting this legislation. I also, before I turn it over to Mr. Dooling, want to welcome my colleague, Councilmember Rosa de Padilla. Thank you so much for being a part of our hearing today. With that, Sam.
Thank you very much, Council President Hardin, and all members of council. Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to bring this over here. Okay, so thank you for this opportunity to talk about some of the particulars of this legislation that establishes the Columbus LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission. I'll talk a little bit about what the bill does, some peer cities that have accomplished something similar, and then I'll conclude my testimony with a few examples of how the LGBTQ+ community has shaped our city as a way of illustrating what we might hope to learn from them. Ordinance 1412, 2025 establishes the Columbus LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission, which will be composed of 13 members total, 6 appointed by the mayor, 6 by council, and 1 jointly, who will serve as the chair. The commission will advise City Council and the mayor on LGBTQ+ matters and recommend legislation, policies, programs, procedures, and administrative actions that advance social, economic, and political equality for the LGBTQ+ community. Initial appointments to the commission will be staggered for terms so that eventually about 4 members or 1/3 of the commission each year will be up for reappointment or replacement. And I anticipate a floor amendment on Monday just to ensure that the wording of the ordinance is clear on that. Both the mayor and the member of council appointed by the council president will serve as non-voting members of the commission, and members will serve without compensation and will meet at least quarterly. The commission will aim to improve the ability of the city and its contractors to serve, support, and employ members of the LGBTQ+ community. Additionally, it will make recommendations designed to enhance their health, safety, and economic opportunity, as well as to amplify cultural and learning opportunities, access to government, and government accountability on matters pertaining to the LGBTQ+ community. Members of the commission will also coordinate and participate in educational programs to promote equal treatment, opportunity, and understanding of persons within the community, and facilitate gatherings, such as meetings, designed to lead to greater understanding and crafting of solutions for matters concerning the community. During the commission's first year, they will likely work with a consultant to craft an engagement strategy that will guide the commission for years to come. Members will also assist the city in planning and executing certain events with special relevance to the LGBTQ+ community, such as the annual Schellebarger Awards and the annual luncheon for elected officials and community leaders from around the state led by Council President Hardin. The commission will track federal and state policies and other types of legislative activities that may prove harmful to LGBTQ+ people. All of this work will culminate in an annual report to be submitted to council and the mayor detailing its activities and recommendations. Thanks to the support of the mayor and his team, including Marshall Troxel, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion will assist in staffing the commission. The council president may also appoint council staff to aid in the administrative work associated with supporting the commission, such as announcing public meetings, distributing meeting agendas, that kind of thing. Such committees exist in peer cities across the country. For example, Kansas City, Missouri created theirs by ordinance in 2020. Their commission is similarly composed of up to 13 members, and it's responsible for serving as an advisory body to their city council on issues actually or potentially affecting persons within the community as a whole. According to the Seattle Municipal Archives, Seattle, Washington's LGBTQ Commission was first established in 1985 as the Mayor's Lesbian Gay Task Force, which was codified in 1989 as a full commission. That commission similarly advises the mayor, city council, and city departments about issues of concern affecting the community. According to their website, the commission recommends policy and legislation, brings together the LGBTQ community and the larger Seattle community through long-range projects, and ensures departments fairly and equitably address issues affecting and involving Seattle's LGBTQ+ peoples. And in March of this year, Cincinnati codified their own LGBTQ+ commission. So the evidence shows that peer cities have leveraged this type of policy solution for years, and while we could spend hours discussing the threats facing the LGBTQ+ community and why now is such a particularly difficult, uncertain, and unsafe time, instead I'll focus on the significance of the community for our city. According to the U.S. Census data, using data from the American Community Survey from 2017, about 1.5% of households in Columbus belong to same-sex couples, one of the largest concentrations in the country. Historically, same-sex and queer couples have especially called German Village, Marion Village, and the Short North their home. LGBTQ+ people in Columbus include veterans like U.S. Army veteran David Zimmer, who entertained wounded soldiers with his drag performances before moving to Columbus and starting the Berwick Ball in 1964. The event began as a formal costume party, according to the Ohio History Connection, and provided a safe space for LGBTQ+ people to gather and enjoy drag shows during a time when police routinely raided gay bars and parties. Over 3 decades, the Berwick Ball gained local renown to become an annual Halloween tradition. Zimmer went by the drag name Dolly Divine, and eventually mobilized the Berwick Ball as an HIV/AIDS research fundraiser. LGBTQ plus people in Columbus also include people of faith. For example, according to the Ohio History Connection, queer people and their allies founded the Shepherd Initiative here in Columbus in 1998 and were active for 10 years. Founded in response to Matthew Shepard's murder, the group fought for queer inclusion in Christian communities and fought against the perception that homosexuality and Christianity were incompatible. The group held 2 multi-denominational conferences in the 2000s, assembling leaders and congregation members from across the country to teach strategies for inclusive communities and share experiences of gay Christian life. Today, LGBTQ plus people in Columbus are business owners, they are community leaders, elected officials, they are parents, and much more, of course. Our city's Pride Parade is one of the largest in the country. In June of this year, Stonewall Columbus reported a $7.6 million impact for local businesses as a result of Pride and our 650,000 plus visitors. But it's worth remembering that the first march, occurred in Columbus in 1981 and consisted of between 100 and 200 marchers, quote, with many with bags on their heads because they didn't want to be identified. Police were also needed at the time to protect the marchers from a potentially violent and abusive crowd of protesters. So I'd like to end with an acknowledgement of both the setbacks and hard-fought victories the LGBTQ plus community has witnessed in this very chamber over many years, as evidenced by the video clips that you showed, Council President. The clip includes footage from a 1984 Columbus City Council meeting, as you said, a decade after our city passed its first anti-discriminatory ordinances for LGBTQ plus people that extended housing and public accommodations protections to include sexual orientation. The documentary doesn't mention that the anti-discriminatory employment protections were originally included in the bill that passed in 1974, but were vetoed in an earlier version of that legislation. Jerry Hammond's bill didn't pass until 1992. That's 8 years after the documentary we saw. Today, a decade since the Obergefell decision that secured marriage equality for same-sex couples, LGBTQ plus people, especially trans people, face a similar backlash. So the creation of this commission is not the end of the fight, of course, and progress is staggered. But as former U.S. Representative Gabby Giffords once wrote, progress in government is like physical therapy. She said, quote, "Countless hours of physical therapy have brought me new movement in my right arm. It's fractional progress, and it took a long time, but my arm moves when I tell it to. I did exercise after exercise, day after day, until it did. I'm committed to my rehab, and I'm committed to my country, and my resolution is to cede no ground to those who would convince us the path is too steep or we too weak." Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for your leadership on this piece of legislation. Very grateful to you, again, and to everyone who got us here today. The last speaker on this legislation is Dr. Kenyana Walker from the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Dr. Walker, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Hardin, members of council. I'm making remarks on behalf of Director Jenkins, the Chief Diversity Officer for the City of Columbus, who was also the Director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. As you all know, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion has a deep commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are excited about this commission, and we are very elated that it's going to live in our office, which is quite interesting that we are in the Jerry Hammond building. So it's quite fortuitous. You should all know that this is nothing new for us in our office, as our office has created and overseen the first employee resource groups in the City of Columbus. And the reason why I share that is one of our most active employee resource groups is our LGBTQ plus group, which is called All Out. And so we're really excited about this commission sitting with us. We are also excited that this is not just a deep commitment, but it's a long-standing commitment because it's going to be codified. And so we know this is going to be sustaining, and we know it's actually going to do what it's designed to do. So we are excited to collaborate on this. We are excited to join hands with the LGBTQ plus community, as we've done internally with our staff, and now we get an opportunity to really do some work in a way that we've done internally. So we are very grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Walker. Before we go to public speaking portion of the committee, I want to ask my colleagues if they have any comments or questions for our presenters on the actual commission, or just any comments in general before we open it up for speakers.
So first of all, thank you, Sam, for all of your work to put this together. I also want to thank the community for their advocacy. It is always but for the people that change happens, and it was a long time coming. I think it is not by accident that in the past year, we have put together an immigrant and refugee commission, and we put together an LGBTQ plus commission, because I think at a time when people are literally fighting for their existence, and we have an administration that makes it harder for us a national administration that makes it harder and harder for us to stand for our people. This is a way for us to enshrine a group of people that will always have a seat at the table, a group of people that will always lift the voices of the community, a group of people that will always be proximate because they themselves represent the identities that are sometimes at the greatest risk. And so I just want to thank you, Council President, for bringing this forward. I want to thank the community for continuing to fight. I'm excited to see what the commission will do. I will say that there are very hard days in this job, and some of my brightest days are sitting with our Immigrant and Refugee Commission and hearing the conversations and seeing the work that they are doing to advance the community and to ensure that they do have a voice at the table to continue to push us to be better, to continue to make us think outside the box, and to also give us an opportunity to stand in solidarity with the community. So I'm really excited to see what this commission will do. I'm excited to work alongside the commission to ensure that we are protecting our people and our families, not just at this time, but at every time, and to one day, maybe this fight won't feel so hard. Maybe it won't be a fight. That's what we're, I think, all striving for. So thank you.
Thank you, council member. Before you got here, I almost pulled a Lourdes and became one of those crying council members. So you missed that. So there's that. Yeah, no. We have written testimony from Equality Ohio, who has submitted to council Equitas Health in support as well. And just as a reminder, that hate is still out there. We have testimony against this commission and its formation. And I think that should be noted as well. So the first speaker to come before council is Dara Atkinson. Dara, welcome to council. Just a reminder, that you have 3 minutes to speak. And thank you so much for being here. If you are representing an organization that you'd like to, let us know.
Hi, yes. That's very loud. So I'm Dara Atkinson. I'm the Executive Director of Trans Ohio, and I'm here to, of course, submit the introduction of legislation creating a Columbus LGBTQ plus Affairs Commission. Trans Ohio is dedicated to advancing and protecting the rights of trans, non-binary, intersex, and gender nonconforming people in Ohio. We've been around for 20 years. We offer a lot of direct services and help thousands of trans people across the state every year, a significant portion of which are within Metro Columbus. We see firsthand the needs of this community. And as well, you all know and have been talking about for quite a nice minute here, that we know that trans people and other minorities are being significantly targeted right now. In 2025 alone to date, there have been 948 bills proposed nationally targeting the trans community, 118 of them passing. In Ohio alone, there have been 10 bills proposed, with 2 passing. One of those ones that has passed, of course, is our state budget, which could be like 8 anti-trans bills lobbed into one, depending on how you cut it. These laws are targeting our ability to exist in public, to get an education, to have identity documents, to get health care, to get emergency health care, to use the bathroom, to play sports, to be covered by non-discrimination protections, to have jobs, to access government services, and unfortunately a whole lot more. Hopefully we will see these targeted attacks tick down, but knowing that any community that is going to enshrine a commission to bring voices to the table is hopefully going to help dissuade the greenlit discrimination, fear, and stress that the current legislation is proposing. In just the last year and a half, Trans Ohio has distributed over $100K in mutual aid for trans people, 30% of which are in Metro Columbus. And these are people that are experiencing housing, healthcare, and food insecurity. And so we sincerely hope that the commission is going to be able to uplift some additional services and programs to really support that portion and subset of the community. As an all-volunteer group, we honestly can't do it all. We do a lot, a substantial lot, but we can't fill gaps from everyone who is about to be kicked off of Medicaid or Section 8 due to the federal cuts. We can't feed everyone in the city that is currently hungry. We can't house every trans person that doesn't have access to a safe housing facility right now. We can't protect everyone in the community that is being targeted by greenlit discrimination. Ohio is incredibly trans, and Columbus in particular is incredibly trans. So we're very happy to see this commission proposed, and we hope that it is going to lead to some real practical, concrete, and tangible support for the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dara, and thank you for your leadership
Yeah.
and advocacy. One thing that I would like to would highlight that I don't think that we have even spoken about is the role that this commission will play in advising the actual budgetary process that council will partake in, and the mayors and administration will partake in, and that financial advocacy or advocacy for financial support for organizations that are doing the work is going to be critically important from this commission. And I just want to highlight that and to make sure that as we are voting on and thinking about even the language and the code, that we are encouraging in perpetuity, again, that the commission has a voice at the table during budgetary times, because that's when it hits the road.
Awesome. Thank you, President Hardin and Council.
Thank you. The next speaker to come before council is Troy Harris. Troy, welcome to council. Any questions from my colleagues? I let Dara go before I ask him. Okay. Just jump in too. All right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Council President Hardin and members of the Columbus City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today on the formation of an LGBTQ+ commission for the city of Columbus. My name is Troy Anthony Harris, also known by my hashtag TroyOnTheGo. I am a native Columbus resident, performing artist, and community neighborhood advocate who boldly lives at the intersection of being Black, out, and proud. I am here today to offer strong support for the creation of this commission and to speak directly to the importance of how it is built, who it includes, and what it stands for. First and foremost, this commission must be independent, free, and committed to represent and advocate for the entire spectrum of our city's LGBTQ residents, especially those who have been historically excluded. That means Black, Indigenous, Latino, Hispanic, Asian, trans, disabled, and low-income members of our community, those who face the greatest disparities and often carry the least visibility. For too long, our city's LGBTQ agenda has been shaped primarily by the most resourced and visible institutions. While organizations like Stonewall Columbus may be the largest, they do not represent the most marginalized among us. The creation of this commission is a chance to change that, to make sure the voices of those who live at the margins are brought to the center. As an example, in 2017, during the arrest and mistreatment of the Black Pride 4, Stonewall Columbus failed our young Black LGBTQ activists. That moment revealed a deep fracture, a disconnect between a legacy organization and the very people it should have been defending. That wound is still felt. And while Stonewall has worked to rebuild that trust, it still struggles with inclusive representation and racial accountability. This commission must be more than symbolic. It must be grounded in racial equity, health justice, and economic survival. While marriage equality was a major milestone, it was not the primary concern for those of us who are intersectional, fighting for our own survival and fighting for access to affordable health care, safe housing, employment, HIV prevention and treatment, and protection from police violence. These are the frontline issues of our lives, and if this commission does not take them seriously, then it will have missed a pivotal moment. We need methods such as open and transparent selection processes, rotating leadership, and equity benchmarks to measure impact. We also need public-facing forums that keep this body connected to the grassroots reality of our community. In the words of the immortal James Baldwin, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Let us face what has been broken, let us name who has been left out, and let us build a commission that does not simply speak for the people, but with and through them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harris. Are there any questions or comments? I certainly agree with many of the points regarding what this commission, how it should be diverse. I love the advocacy for open forums, for front-facing initiatives, and I think that as it evolves and grows and comes into formation, which should be one of the charges of the first seated commission. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. And I'd like to welcome my colleague, Councilmember Beatty. Thank you so much for joining us today. The next speaker to come before council is Julia Applegate. Julia, welcome to council.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Julia Applegate. I use she pronouns. I'm a public health professional, educator, and public historian. I'm not representing an organization, but I'm here rather as an independent community organizer representing a subset of the LGBTQ+ community. I do not have prepared remarks. I have notes. I'm speaking from the heart today. I want to thank you, President Hardin, and the other people who have been behind proposal of this formation of the commission. It comes at an extremely important time, and so I'm grateful to see that that initiative has been taken. I'm here specifically to speak on behalf of LGBTQ+ elders in our community. Like my friend Mary Haller, who you just saw in the documentary, she is now 70 and lives on the South Side and is an active member of the lesbian community, the LGBTQ+ community, and continues to be an organizer and, I would say, agitator to bring about the change that we still need to have in this city. I'm speaking also to say that I think there is an urgent need when we think about our LGBTQ+ elders to provide tailored services to our seniors, specifically the most marginalized seniors in our LGBTQ+ community. Those are the people that Troy just talked about. I think, is that Troy? Is that right? Is he gone? Okay. Sorry, he's on the go, like he said. So he's gone. But yes, Troy. I completely agree with the many of the remarks he made, and want to say that tailored services for our LGBTQ+ elders who are marginalized in our community because of some aspect of their identity. It could be because of their very element of the LGBTQ+ community, the trans community, the lesbian community, the non-binary folks, our LGBTQ elders who are living in the suburban communities, the communities that we don't name when we think about the LGBTQ safe spaces. So Reynoldsburg, Gahanna, places like that. The poor and the working class LGBTQ plus queers, and our LGBTQ plus queers of color. So one of the things that I want to just point out is that I think we need to go far beyond the only organized thing that I see happening for LGBTQ plus elders in our city comes from Stonewall. It's the Trailblazers group. They do great social activities. We need social services. So I hope very much that in the formation of this body, that there will be an emphasis on social services for LGBTQ plus elders. It's especially important in this moment when so many LGBTQ plus individuals, especially our youth, who have grown up with structural supports for our community, do not know how to move forward to continue fighting when our state legislature and some of our neighbors work so diligently to erase our very existence and the progress that we have made over the past century. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia, for your testimony, and thank you for your advocacy. Senior housing, as in my role as chair of the Housing Committee, is something that we have talked about, specifically LGBTQ plus housing. I've seen some models in other communities that have focused in this area. It'd be really interesting to how we could work with the commission to focus, to make sure that there were slots available for, vouchers available for, and space and community in future housing projects. It'd just be something I would love to explore.
I'm excited to hear that. It's so much needed.
Thank you. Any questions, Councilmember Dayakar?
Thank you so much for bringing that up about our older adults. I have been working in the age-friendly Columbus Franklin County space since 2017, trying to come up with ways so people can age in place successfully. So I would very much like to chat with you about how we can help make that happen.
I would love that. I've got lots of ideas. Thank you.
I just wanted to also, two things. I've been thinking about the remarks that Troy made, and I think that, this is something we also thought about in the process with our other commission, is ensuring that we're having folks from across the diaspora, whatever those diasporas are, because that's true representation. And when you leave someone out, you're leaving out a perspective, and many times an important one. And so I want to thank you first for your remarks. I also wanted to say, years ago, we, working with another organization, actually with Auditor Kilgore, we actually did a survey of looking at retirement villages and how open they were to same-sex couples, right? And this was years ago, but it was pretty eye-opening. We actually shared that information at the time with Stonewall, and I think it's interesting because I think that it's also about ensuring that folks have a place of belonging, right? Which is also paramount. It's not just about the representation, ensuring that there are slots, but ensuring that they have a place of belonging, ensuring that they are meeting the community and the unique needs of the community when we are talking about things like housing. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think as you look at the work of the commission and the committees and the things that they tackle, this certainly can be one of them, because as we think about, what was the first out generation of boomers, that's what we were really looking at the time, that our population numbers of older adults is only going to increase across communities. And so ensuring that we are also providing and resourcing some of our villages, some other places with the resources that they need for unique communities, I think is one that we should certainly take a look at, because it will only continue to be an issue if we don't look at it now. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add quickly, I hope that as we look at these supportive services, that we think intergenerationally, because we need that connection between our youth, the people in the middle, and the people who are, seniors, so that we can build a stronger community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker to come before council is Leo Rodriguez. You're welcome to council.
Thank you. I'll keep it very brief. Good afternoon, Council President Harding, other members of council. Thank you for opening this time to our community to come and share some insight with you. Like I said, I'll keep it very brief. My name is Leo Rodriguez, and more than anything and beyond my job title, I am a member of this community. We are all aware of how the lack of thoughtful leadership is hurting our country and our state. With every day and every new headline, it almost feels like we're always battling a new monster. Our communities, however, are bonded with a super strong bonding agent called resilience. In politically turbulent times like the ones we're living in, bold leadership is not just something that needs to commendable, it is necessary. Transformational change doesn't happen by accident. It happens through deliberate action, through a willingness to listen, and through initiatives like this one. Too often, we come before our elected leaders to voice concerns, to demand better, which, to be clear, is our right and your responsibility. But true collaboration also requires us to name and recognize the good when we see it. The creation of this commission is one of these moments. It's a meaningful step forward, a sign that this city sees its residents, hears its residents, and is willing to do the hard work of inclusion. However, let me be clear, this commission cannot afford to be insular. Yes, the LGBTQ struggle is alive and is ongoing, but our communities don't live single-issue lives. LGBTQ plus people face homelessness, addiction, wealth disparity, and health inequity. We are immigrants, people of color, people with disabilities, and any effort to support us in our community must account for that full humanity. So again, thank you to this body for this bold move, and let's keep it going together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for your testimony. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you, sir. The next speaker to come before council is Charles Abernathy, Jr. Welcome to council. Welcome back to council.
Hello. Let me get my notes up.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Charles. I use he, they pronouns. Thanks for not skipping me this time. I'm a Black and Filipino queer abolitionist. I founded the Queer for Abolitionist Futures. I think it's weird that you talk about standing up on the right side of history and want people to live, and yet you open your home to a genocidal state of Israel that openly discriminates against queer people that are particularly cruel to queer Palestinians. Was that the cost for you to be on city council? You clearly don't know your Black queer feminist history. The queer community has experienced over 500 years of criminalization because of the dehumanizing worldview of greedy colonialism that still attacks queer people today. These terrible white laws are not just pushed by white supremacists, but have infiltrated the minds of Black and brown queer people. The city council, you are willing to expand the police budget that puts more Black and brown queer women and children in jails, in prisons, and juvenile. The over-policing of queer youth is one of the top concerns, but you rather blame bad behavior instead of structural inequalities that are rooted cause of this issue. So it is very hard to take this commission seriously when your words don't even match up. There's a very public and deep desire to uphold the system that punishes people who cannot endure capitalism, and the evidence is very clear. And queer people are 3 times more likely to be incarcerated compared to straight people in prisons. Lesbians, gay, bisexual, and non-straight people are 5 times more likely to be victimized by staff, as well as 6 times more likely to be victimized by another incarcerated person. Those are just national numbers, but the impact could be much worse in Ohio since the state's roadmap of mass incarceration exceeds the United States. The Commission on LGBTQ Affairs could be another neoliberal fantasy that believes freedom and equality are in gender-expansive prisons and jails instead of the abolishment of the carceral state. The city of Columbus profits from the mass incarceration, and what a scheme. Sharon Brown, the queer community knows that you are a cop-loving, Israel-supporting fool. Many of our progressive leaders are. You are the best that white America can platform to help queer leaders put queer people in prisons and jails. So please stop stealing our tax dollars and letting it burn queer people overseas. Or is that some weird political ritual that you practice when you host a fundraiser at your house for Is Not Real? We all know that working with the city is a strategic engagement with kid-killing cops and burning politicians who enjoy burning Palestinian children. The science and the research, the health equity tools and assessments point out to one thing. We have the resources, the money, the tools, and the people now, but we lack the political will. The future is queer, and the abolition of the prison industrial complex will be a leading queer issue. We need non-carceral options now to keep communities safe, alive, and our tax dollars should be kept to support our communities and not to killing Black and brown children, which includes queer people overseas and here. Queer liberation means a world without prisons.
Thank you, Mr. Abernathy. Are there any questions or comments from Mr. Abernathy? Thank you. Only ask I would have is, as we form this commission and we need people to apply for it, that you help get folks to apply so that we can have more voices, more diverse voices at the table. The next speaker to come before council is Ashton Colby. Ashton, welcome to council.
Hi, President Harden and members of the council. I'm a transgender man, and I've lived in Columbus my entire life, and this is my home. My family is here, but I've thought of leaving the state, and Columbus has been an oasis for me, even in its imperfections. Like, I don't think that I would be even staying here if it wasn't for just even the one act. Like, I will celebrate that this is a step forward, because it's the tiniest things, the incremental actions moving us all forward. And I see and I hold a vision with what I hope is all of you, that people can have clean water, clean air, homes, warm food, all of that. I think if I'm shook up about this, and I have it probably the easiest, I've done my transition, I'm established in my career, I have somewhere to live, and if I'm still shaking in my boots sometimes and kind of having this fight or flight, like feeling like I'm in a kind of constant war zone is what it feels like, just being trans. And it's some of these things, it's hard not to internalize it. And I worry about young people the most. Like, I would want there to be more than one young person on this, because I do not know how some of them are continuing to move forward. So thank you for making my home somewhere that I feel just a little bit more safe, I can take a deep breath and be like, okay, for now in this moment, there are people that are holding the same vision forward that I do. People care. It really matters. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ashton. Ashton, before you leave, as we think about the formation of the commission, one of the conversations we had was around folks like your father, who is an ally, and I think in our language we're very clear that we don't just want even queer representatives, members of the queer community on the commission. We want to make sure that it is open as well to allies. Can you speak to the role of having ally advocacy in this type of a space?
Yeah, my dad, Richard Colby, he's just had eye surgery 2 days ago, so he's not here. He gives his support, and me and my dad do not vote the same way. He is a conservative, a Christian, and somehow he has figured out how to love me as his son and support me, and just has stepped up to do advocacy across the aisle and to I mean, go into the State House, go into Washington, D.C., speak face to face with legislators, and is walking the walk for a conservative, Christian Ohio guy. He's really, I'm grateful for that, and I know we have to expand what I'm even comfortable with. I wasn't previously comfortable with my dad doing this work with me, but now is the time. We need every single voice, everyone together.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Ashton? Just thank you. Next speaker to become before council is Nate Patrick. Nate, welcome to council.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Nate. I'm a private citizen in Columbus. I've been here for 18 years. My job title doesn't matter, but I am a new citizen of downtown, which I'm grateful for every day, because I get to see various types of people come and go in and out of the city. And I've had the fortune of also meeting a great many number of members of the LGBTQ plus community in my time downtown. And I'm thankful for organizations such as Stonewall, which have given me the opportunity to immerse myself in communities I may not have been immersed in prior to. I don't think there's anything I'm going to say in this public statement that hasn't already been covered much more intelligibly by previous speakers. I commend them for their willingness to speak and their courage to speak up on matters like this. But what I will say is a few anecdotes. I appreciate the opportunity for council to let me speak on the proposed LGBTQ plus commission. In 2023, the Williams Institute, which is a public policy research group at UCLA, determined that Ohio had the 6th largest LGBTQ plus community in the country, wherein 6.2% of the population identified as a member of the community. In 2021, specifically, Columbus was estimated to have 4.4% of its population who identify, which translates to more than 67,000 individuals in the metro area. Still, those statistics do not accommodate for individuals who live in fear of coming out, fear of judgment or rejection or retaliation. I was one such individual for a time. And within the last year, the ACLU has tracked a large swath of anti-LGBTQ legislation proposed and passed by the General Assembly a few blocks over. Specifically, House Bill 8 and Senate Bill 104, which was signed to say who could use what restroom under the pretense that transgender individuals who relieve themselves are intrinsically possessing nefarious intent, which is obscene and ridiculous. While this state continues to lobby and gerrymander against the interests of the will of the people, we cannot lose sight of the fact that human rights are apolitical. There can be no doubt that special protections must exist for LGBTQ+ and other minorities who are just as much in jeopardy. My hope is that this commission supersedes the typical political stagnation that befalls special interest groups that have come before it. I am reassured and encouraged by your work on the council and your leadership that that will not happen. But the commission itself can become a vehicle for meaningful change and oversight. And oversight is not enough. We need tools and mechanisms to actively protect LGBTQ+ individuals of all ages. Declarations and protections are necessary affirmations which make individuals feel welcome and included in Columbus. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Patrick at this time? Thank you so much for your testimony. Next speaker to come before council is Candace Janidlo. If I mispronounce it, please correct us, please. Welcome to council.
Good afternoon. Council President Hardin and members of Columbus City Council. My name is Candace Janidlo, she, her, and I'm the Legislative Affairs Manager for Equitas Health. As you're likely aware, Equitas Health is a nonprofit community health center and one of the largest LGBTQ+ and HIV/AIDS serving healthcare organizations in the country. Each year, we serve tens of thousands of patients in Ohio, Texas, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And since 1984, we have been working to advance care for all. I'm here to express Equitas Health's strong support for the creation and sustained funding of a Columbus LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission. Research consistently shows that LGBTQ+ people face disproportionate challenges compared to non-LGBTQ+ people, including higher rates of housing insecurity, employment discrimination, and violence. A 2023 report from the Williams Institute found that LGBTQ+ adults are more than twice as likely to experience significant health disparities. Additionally, a 2022 study from the Center for American Progress showed that LGBTQ+ people are more likely to face discrimination in accessing government services, which reinforces the need for institutional accountability and community-informed oversight. A dedicated LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission would ensure that these issues are addressed directly by city leadership and would elevate the voices of residents who have historically been excluded from policymaking. This is a need echoed by the National League of Cities, which emphasizes that such commissions are vital tools which improve policy responsiveness and build trust with LGBTQ+ communities. Moreover, cities with inclusive policies and LGBTQ+ advisory bodies see measurable improvements in public health, economic vitality, and social cohesion. The Municipality Index from the Human Rights Campaign finds that cities with LGBTQ+ commissions foster safer environments, better healthcare access, and more equitable economic opportunities for LGBTQ+ people. The Movement Advancement Projects similarly report stronger outcomes in mental health and youth engagement in cities that invest in LGBTQ+ specific programs. Columbus, as one of the fastest growing and most diverse cities in the Midwest, must build on its momentum. An LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission would be a formal bridge between the community and local government and would help address the compounded marginalization faced by transgender, non-binary, and gender-expansive people and LGBTQ+ people of color. Finally, supporting this commission is best practice for building inclusive, thriving cities. It signals that Columbus values and protects its LGBTQ+ residents and is committed to equity, safety, and opportunity for all. Equitas Health urges the Council to fully support and resource the LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candace, for your testimony, and we do have written testimonies for council members as well. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for Equitas's leadership in our community as well. The last speaker to come before council is Penelope Rupert. Is Penelope in the audience? We'll see no further speakers to come before this hearing. Before we close, I want to open it up again. I want to thank my colleagues for their participation in this hearing and ask for their support. And I know because of their work where their hearts are, but I keep going back to the video that we played at the beginning of this to remember that the work that we do in this space, in this room, impacts people's lives. And as Ashton said, even though this may be a small step right now, the impacts we don't even know today, how it will shape, how it will support, how it will protect, how it will maybe even just inspire one more day for specifically for our trans young people who are in the crosshairs of hate. Again, it's a good reminder that this work is evergreen, that it is not done, that this is still important. As some of the negative testimony that was submitted to us, that this work is important today. And so just grateful for everyone's participation. Do my colleagues have any comments before we close out? Councilmember Green.
I want to thank everyone for being here today and for your ongoing advocacy. And I just especially want to thank you, Council President. You know, I think it's an understatement to say, you know, we want people to know these issues are still important. These issues could not be more important. You have legislators that are right across the street that every single day are passing a new piece of legislation to erase our identities. And at a time when they are trying to lock up books in a library, ban people from using a restroom of their choice, make it legal for counselors and social workers like myself to be able to provide gender-affirming care to individuals in the community that are struggling with any sort of hardship. When you talk about social services, soon they're trying to make that illegal. And at a time like that, for you to move this commission forward, I think it just could not be more important. At a time when legislators that drive into our city Monday through Friday and make laws that try to eliminate us from being able to live our full and true and authentic selves, to have a council president that is standing up and saying, we're going to double down. We're going to make sure that this city that these horrible things are happening in is a city that loves and welcomes everybody for who they are and celebrates them. And that is a brave thing to do, and I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Well, hearing no other comments or questions, we intend to bring this legislation forward on Monday for its second reading, I believe. Stay tuned for when we will open applications. We intend to open applications this fall and have the first commission seated before the end of the year. And so what we will do is a strong push and strong partnership with existing organizations, but really just like the charge I put out to Mr. Abernathy. If you want this commission to be diverse, then it is going to be on the commission, to our community, to make sure that there is a diverse candidate pool. We will work as a city to make sure that this process is as open and as transparent as it possibly can. And we will follow up with more information on how folks can apply. Thank you so much for being here, and that concludes today's hearing.